Welcome back to the Storytelling Show. Creativity thrives on collaboration between artists, and Valerie McRae, a fabric artist from New Westminster, has recently taken on the project to create a fabric representation of one of Candice James's poetry. Candice, could you share how that came to be?
Well, I was out at Maple Ridge at the Act Theatre, and I was featuring out there, and there was another poet featuring there, and Valerie had done a beautiful, beautiful fabric artwork painting. I'm not sure exactly what you call it, but it was beautiful. And I commented on it, and she said, oh my goodness, she heard a poem I had done there, which was Ink Stain in the Rain, and she said she would be very pleased to work on that project. And I said, well, I would be thrilled too, because your work is absolutely exquisite. So she will be working on that, and I'm really just anxious to see what it turns out to be. And Janet Quammen, she has done some poetographs. We had our, at New Westminster, they had a big coverage on the Royal City Record and the News Leader now. Janet does poetographs, so if I write a poem, she'll put a picture behind it, or if I see a picture of hers I like, I'll write a poem to it, and then she incorporates the two and superimposes the poem onto the picture. And this one came about, and there was a photograph of the Balmoral Hotel right down here, and it was this east side of Vancouver, and it was called a Bleak House Alley, so I would like to read that for you now. On the east side of Vancouver, in Bleak House Alley, a broken Cinderella, cracked and creased with age, candles the night, weaving phantom dreams in the pale twilight. Breathing in foggy remnants of second-hand wishes, she churns them and burns them under hot, buttered streetlights, drinking in the high horizon, gulping it like wine on this hot, thirsty night of no reprisals. She sways in drunken repose, skin weather-beaten, hangs in pockets of leather, chafing the edge of night. She doesn't remember when the rain started, but she's certain it shows no sign of letting up soon. Each random drop relentlessly pursuing the razor's edge of the one in front of it. This Cinderella broke her mirror years ago. She lives in a fantasy world, thinks she's still beautiful. Her torn mouth twitches, groans into a grin. Yellow, cracked teeth glinting in the broken bits of moonlight that decorate the one shoe she wears, the other foot bleeding and scarred. She limps along this highway of tears, searching for her prince, knowing he will not come. Wasted chants and wishes, unanswered prayers and rituals, shattered hopes and dreams, broken Cinderellas and damaged Prince Charmings, living and dying in obscurity in Bleak House Alley on the east side of Vancouver.
Wow, people of the Shadowlands. Candice, you put that together so beautifully. And for you out there, just come on to the show. I'm Kathleen Tonneson, your host tonight on the Storytelling Show. We're interviewing Candice James, the Poet Laureate of New Westminster in BC. And a little bit further bio on Candice. Candice's poems have appeared in numerous international anthologies, magazines, newspapers, and e-zines. She's a full member of the League of Canadian Poets. She's the past director of the Federation of British Columbia Writers and a member of the Spoken Word, Canadian Festival of Spoken Word. She is the featured poet monthly in the Arts and Entertainment Hollywood magazine. She is the creator of Poetry in the Park, Poetic Justice, and Slam Central Spoken Word, and continues to be featured at many poetry events and, of course, on radio shows. Poets everywhere have been enthused by this woman, myself included. A year ago, I would not say my poems publicly, but because of Candice's encouragement, I too am now speaking my stuff. So thank you, Candice, for all the work you've done for Poetic Justice and getting us out there to speak our truth.
assist anybody working with the written word or spoken word.
And now, Candice, I do believe you have a fantastic poem offering a certain perspective.
It's a sort of a surrealistic journey through the supposition of the mind, so to speak. It's, well, the first 3 lines will tell you exactly what it is. I've called it Seeing Through. Everything that isn't is, only when it isn't. Yo-yoing through layers of water, deftly disguised as air, my strings vibrate and dimensionalize into cut glass stones. So small I can't see them. So thick they look like rope to me, even when they're not. And so I continue pedaling my miniature airplane toward the center of a square earth, hoping to find a blue, cloudy sky in an ocean of burnt amber stars, hot to touch, yet cold as ice, even when they're not. The necklace of truth, wet with tears, then sun-dried, is shrinking, tightening, making it hard to breathe, hard to live, even when it isn't. I stare into my mirror image, see myself fade away into the reflection, until I am not the mirror, and the mirror is me, even when it isn't. Everything that isn't is, only when it isn't.
Roll over Confucius, you've met your match. Oh, Candice, you're just too amazing. Right, Candice, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians and writers and poets?
Keep at it. If you love it, if you love to write, if you love to play music, if you love to write songs, whatever you love, follow your dream. Don't let anybody say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you don't want to do that. If you love doing it, that is your calling. Follow that dream. Do what you love.
And Candice, are you ever without words, or do you just have this deluge of words that come upon you at all times for anything?
Pretty much all times. I just sit there and a couple of lines will go through my mind and then I add more. And if I add too many, I'll forget them. So I've got to start writing it down, or I've finished a poem in my head and then forgot the middle.
All right, to make sure how people joining us tonight, we thank you very much for being with us and sharing these beautiful words of Candice James. If you'd like to get some more in print from Candice James, don't forget the website www.libroslibertad.ca. That's Libros Libertad. And Candice, could you indulge us with some more?
Okay. Always my pleasure to. This one is fairly recent. I guess most of them are, but this one's a little more recent than the recent ones. It's called East of Eden, West of Love. The bittersweet taste of summer wine, passion polishing love to a shine. Reaching nirvana, then past the brink, watching it fade like invisible ink. Promises crept away on scarred feet, stumbling down a dark, dusty street, crippled by vows we didn't keep. Love bowed her head and fell asleep. We limped away on wounded hearts, victims of our own false starts. We let the lies we kept within chafe at our hearts and wear them thin. Beneath a burnished sky of stars, we hid inside our wounds and scars. We watched the flame grow dim, burn out, locked in the shadow of a doubt. Passion stripped off her mask and disguise, revealing alibis, secrets and lies. Love on the rocks, paradise lost, Words turn to dust, music to frost. Teardrops scarred a scarlet moon. Eclipse of the heart, midnight at noon. A silent song, a wordless rhyme. Two poets dancing out of time. An angel sighed. Stars fell from above. Somewhere east of Eden, west of love.
Wow. Just beautiful imagery. And I did read that your mentor was Fred Cogswell, the late Fred Cogswell. Would you like to share something about Fred for us?
Fred was a great talent, a great man. Actually, before he passed away, he was inducted into the Order of Canada. And he was a professor of English at the University of New Brunswick. And excuse me, when I first started writing, I was just kind of writing for my own pleasure. And, that's not bad. A friend of mine really liked it. Her name was Cheryl Kingswood. And she said, you got to send this away. You have to send it away somewhere. I said, no, it's not good enough. So unbeknownst to me, she took 25 of my poems and she photocopied them. She sent them to 3 presses. And this is very interesting. One press was the Oberon Press, and they said, well, we like it, but you haven't been in any periodicals or magazines, and we don't publish people unless they have already been in that. The second one was Coach House, and they said, we just don't like it. Period. We're not going to do anything with it. The third was Fiddlehead Poetry Books, which was Fred Cogswell, and he phoned me, didn't send a letter or anything, he phoned me and said he really liked what he had received. And mind you, Cheryl had told me after she'd already put it in the mail that these had gone. So he said, I'm coming out to Vancouver in 3 weeks' time. Please have everything you've got ready for me. So he said, how many do you have? And I told a little lie. I said, I've got a few hundred, but I actually only had about 110 at the time. Oh, good, he said. So in that next 3 weeks, I wrote day and night, and I wrote, because I've got to have this stuff. I've got to have stuff for him. I've got to have stuff. And anyway, he came out, and he took, I guess there's 116 poems in the book, so I guess he grabbed another 91 poems. And the one I wanted to call the book Silver Dreams of the Seventh Dimension. I thought that was so cool, and I had a little poem on it, and he said, no. We're going to call it A Split in the Water, because that was a poem I'd written. And I said, well, I'd really like it to be the other. No. He says, just trust me. And so he's the one that picked the poem that is the title poem. And then after that, he continued asking me to send more poems, and I said I would, but I was in the music business, and I kind of jumped ship, moved over to the music business, out there doing my thing on the road. I still wrote, but I just never got around to sending him. He'd call me, and I'd say, oh, yeah, I definitely will. And then when he would arrive in town, I'd be somewhere else. I might be in Prince George, or I could be in Red Deer, so we just didn't connect except by a phone, and we didn't have email back then, at least I didn't. And I've got quite a few of his books at home that he's personally signed to me, and I treasure them. So I've done quite a few videos reading his poems at Dead Poets Society, and I've sent them to the League of Canadian Poets, and they have now put them up on his profile.
Oh, that's just too beautiful.
He was great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, your career as a musician on the road, what was the worst part about being on the road with the band?
Well, for me, I broke my back when I was 16 and 15 in a car accident, so it's always been a weakness. So I have to be careful that I'm not going to have a really bad back the next day. And a bad bed without a firm mattress, oh, I'm going to be in agony the next day. So I used to pack, I think this would be about an inch thick styrofoam, rolled up like a sleeping bag in the van. So the first thing I'd do when we got to a place, I'd go right in, I'd lay down on the bed, and I'd say, oh, I need the styrofoam, and I'd lay it on the floor and sleep. But if the bed wasn't good, I could not sleep in it, or I would be in agony the next day. And I didn't like not waking up at home. And You want something that you didn't pack. I think if you're going to be on the road, you should really be a star so you're making the dollars for it, because it's not pleasant. I prefer, home, little small circuit.
Well, just to imagine you upstage there when you're let me give you a visual, people out there. I have in my studio a diminutive blonde bombshell. And you just imagine her rocking out there with the sexy bass guitar and strutting her stuff. You've had a taste tonight of her creativity. I'm just sorry I missed all those shows. They must have been a blast.
They were fun.
All right, Candice, we're nearly the end of our show, and we've got time for maybe one or two more of your poems. Which ones would you like to leave us with?
Well, I don't know if you'd like a historical poem about the BC Penitentiary, or if you'd like another sonnet, or if you'd like a love poem.
We'll let our technician decide.
Let's hear about the penitentiary.
The penitentiary. We're going for the dirty down, grimy prisoner guys.
I used to walk past there all the time as a child on Cumberland Street, and this is some of the things I remember. I'll just give you the little preamble. The BC Penitentiary was British Columbia's main prison, and situated in the heart of New Westminster, BC, overlooking the mighty Fraser River, and it was there from 1876 to 1980. So that's the background. Now the poem. I lived on the old pen property after the pen had been torn down, and this is what happened there. On the old pen property, spirits lurk and hide. Ghostly voices whisper in the pale moonlight. A heavy door slams shut with a thunderous clap. A frayed noose dangles above a floor trap. And yesterday's ghosts still walk these grounds at night. Built in 1878, she was a fortress strong, a bleak home for felons who did the law wrong. Her tall cement walls loomed large inside our town, a daunting human cage that never let her guard down. She stood at full attention, an ominous landmark, foreboding, gray and dark, harsh, stern, and stark. As a youngster, I remember Cumberland Street on hot, sultry days, sweating in the heat. The prisoners in groups and gangs labored in the yard, lined up in the sights of the towered guns and guards. The murderer and thief toiled side by side. With leg irons and secrets, they were tethered and tied. 1976 was the pen's worst riot date. The East Wing was destroyed in this meeting with fate. In the aftermath, she was scheduled for teardown. She'd overstayed her welcome in our residential town. She closed in 1980 on the 10th day of May. But listen to my words and hear me when I say, on the old pen property, spirits lurk and hide. Ghostly voices whisper in the pale moonlight. A heavy door slams shut with a thunderous clap. A frayed noose dangles above a floor trap. And yesterday's ghosts still walk these grounds at night. And that's it on that one. So, we will do now something that's, I kind of like this one. It's again going into the mind thing. And I've called this Crumbling Prison. Sort of thinking in my mind, if you start hiding